Just a quick word on how to handle seventh chords in any minor key. The nice thing about using Roman numerals and using a given key, or rather, we're given a context by using a given key, C major, E flat major, G minor, C sharp minor, whatever it might be, is that building triads and seventh chords are immensely easier because the key signature takes care of it for you. The key itself dictates what the notes have to be. In major, it's totally not an issue, especially early on when we're just dealing with things diatonically within the key. Later on, when you start doing more chromatic things, that it throws a little bit of a wrench into the gears. That's a bad analogy, ignore that part. But it does make it a little bit more complicated. But for right now, for diatonic in major, it's much simpler because you just let the key take care of it. Now in minor, that's true for about 90%, 95% of the things that you need to do. And there are two particular chords that you need to be aware of. So that's going to be the 5 chord here. So we're in the key of C minor. So again, C minor has E flat, A flat, and B flat. Key signature is taking care of it right here. And the chords based off of, this is true for both triads and seventh chords, but let's look at seventh chords for right now. Scale degree 5, the Roman numeral 5 rather, and Roman numeral 7 are going to you're going to encounter some things where you need to modify it. Now you'll notice that I'm putting this as a lowercase and in fact a diminished 7, even though right now if you build a chord out of this it's not diminished, because remember we're going to apply the harmonic minor variant to this scale. So right now, currently, you're seeing a C minor scale. We want to make that harmonic minor variant by adding that raising scale degree 7. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do that right here. We raised it a half step to create that leading tone, that leading tone function, that stronger pull from T to Do, from scale degree 7 back to tonic, back to 1, by creating that leading tone. And so what that does is that it also creates this 7 diminished chord here. And if it's a triad, you just add the notes above it, and if it's a 7th chord, okay, you add the note above that. And so this is what you're going to encounter most of the time. Okay, it's good to know the other ones, but this is the one you're going to encounter most of the time. And again, as long as you raise that leading tone, just by adding the notes, you create a fully diminished 7 chord. Okay. Now with the 5 chord, 5 chord has a root based off of scale degree 5. So we're going to build a 7th chord here, but we need that leading tone. So the 5 chord, what makes it so special too, is that it contains that leading tone. It's in here as well, so we're going to need to raise that by a half step as well. I'm going to double mark this so that you see where it's occurring. So now that you have a 5-7 chord and a fully diminished 7th chord right here, so you'll notice that the leading tone again is within that 5 chord, and you need to add that in order to create a proper 5 chord in minor. And you typically are going to raise scale degree 7, the root of this 7 chord in minor, by a half step to create that leading tone, and you get the fully diminished 7th chord. Now later on, it's not going to be too uncommon to see it as a natural note, okay, in which case where that's back to normal, right, where you have lowered scale degree 7. But typically you're not going to see this until we start doing things like sequences or modulation, which is further down the line. And in fact, you don't typically recognize this as a 7-7. It's actually going to be something else, which I'm not going to mention right now. Sort of a special case of later down the line. So you don't have to worry about it right now. It's good to know it, that it is there technically, but it functions completely different than if we just label it as such. So know most of the time when you encounter this, you're going to, I'm just going to right click here so that we can save some time. Most of the time, you're going to just automatically raise that scale degree 7 to create a fully diminished 7th chord and your 5-7 chord.